Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 451 based on novel. So let's start. He saw 8 mountains of corpses outside this octagon. The blood on these countless corpses had already dried. They had been piled up to form 8 giant mountains. The gloomy aura seemed even more intense as Wang Lin looked over. However, this wasn't the end. As Wang Lin's gaze swept by, he saw even more, and his mind trembled. Behind the corpse mountains were 8 giant dragons hundreds of thousands of feet long. These dragons had their mouths open and gave off a fierce aura. However, right now they were only stone, but there was a mysterious force that allowed them to remain floating. The dragons' heads were facing the platform as if they were roaring at the person that used to sit on that throne. There were countless giant battle chariots behind the dragons. These chariots looked terrifying and were covered in thorns. There were dark bloodstains on them. It was obvious they were part of a big battle in the past. There were countless cultivators on flying swords floating behind the war chariots. Although their bodies had turned to stone, they remained in the air and were filled with killing intent. Behind them there were no less than millions of cultivators. They retained their behavior from when they were alive, and they seemed to want to charge forward as if they had gone crazy. The number of cultivators seemed to be boundless. There were hundreds of towering figures with their backs to the platform. They were waving their arms as if they were driving something away. In the distance, 8 shadows as big as the palace seemed to appear. They were among the crowd of cultivators and began a frenzied massacre. The more Wang Lin saw, the more shocked he became. He gradually moved his gaze to the throne, and he saw a unique cultivator in front of the throne. This cultivator was holding an umbrella as he floated in the air. Although he had been turned into stone, his left hand was raised and was pointing at the throne. As Wang Lin's gaze moved, he saw the last person in the palace standing behind the person with the umbrella. This was a cultivator with his eyes closed. He floated in the air with this left hand forming a fist as if he is grabbing something. His right arm was bent as if he was pulling something. If you were to put a bow in his hand, he would be pulling the bow. There was only the soft sound of candles burning in the palace. After a long time, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at the huge platform. After pondering a bit, he landed on the stone platform. Standing here, Wang Lin could see endless cultivators with ferocious expressions, their eyes filled with killing intent. At this moment, it felt as if all of that killing intent was gathered on Wang Lin. The killing intent from all 8 directions seemed to turn solid and rushed at him. Wang Lin retreated a few steps before the throne, and his face became even more pale. The giant crack on the bottom of the platform under the throne gave off a monstrous killing intent. It was as if an arrow had flown past the countless cultivators, the chariots, the members of the ancient clans, and everything else straight toward the person on the throne. While pondering, there was a force pulling him. The voice that had appeared 5 times in his head caused Wang Lin to slowly sit down on the throne. Just as he sat down, his body trembled and then rapidly expanded. In a flash, he was thousands of feet tall, revealing his ancient god body. 6 ancient god stars appeared between his eyebrows and began to rotate. However, just at this moment, demonic energy came from the throne and rushed into Wang Lin's body from his left arm. Eventually, it all gathered in his left eye, forming 6 phantom stars. An instant later, a monstrous devilish energy rushed out from the throne. It rushed into Wang Lin's body through his right arm and gathered in his right eye, forming 6 phantom stars. Although the stars in his eyes were phantoms, when they appeared, they rotated in the same trajectory as the 6 stars between his eyebrows. At this instant, Wang Lin's mind trembled and time seemed to revert. He gradually forgot everything, and his body gave off a sense of majesty. This aura was tyrannical. This aura belonged to someone who would look coldly at a calamity that was causing the world to collapse. He looked ahead and gradually became more calm, but that sense of majesty became even stronger. At this moment, the aura Wang Lin gave off would make even third-step cultivators suffocate. The first person to feel this aura was esteemed Ling Dong inside Wang Lin's Emperor Furnace. He was fully focused on suppressing Ju Jin and was working with the Emperor Furnace to refine him. However, the moment the tyrannical aura gathered, esteemed Ling Dong's face went pale and his expression changed greatly. He was filled with fear and stopped whatever he was doing. He was forced out of the Emperor Furnace, out of the star, and out of Wang Lin's body. It was as if he would be crushed and killed by this aura if he didn't leave. Wang Lin's stars rotated rapidly as esteemed Ling Dong was forced out. When he saw Wang Lin, he immediately knelt down on the platform. It was only after he knelt that pressure dissipated a bit, but it was still strong. It was as if countless mountains were waiting on top of his head. He felt like he was no longer a third-step cultivator but a mortal. His body trembled and he didn't even dare to lift his head. There was still another third-step cultivator named Zhu Jin inside the Emperor Furnace. He was extremely arrogant and would not submit even if he was being refined. If not for the fact that esteemed Ling Dong had been suppressing him and he was trapped by the 8 drops of poison, he wouldn't have given up so easily. However, at this moment, the pressure coming from Wang Lin's body caused Zhu Jin's face to turn pale, and panic appeared in his mind. The pressure unexpectedly caused the 8 drops of poison around him to loosen and the 20 ancient leaves to weaken. The moment this happened, Zhu Jin's body flickered and he rushed out from the Emperor Furnace he was trapped in. He rushed out from the star between Wang Lin's eyebrows. The moment he appeared, the shocking pressure from Wang Lin's body landed on him. This caused his expression to change once more, then he subconsciously took a few steps back. Monstrous fear appeared in his eyes. This aura caused him to feel fear, caused him to tremble, and caused him to feel like the other party would need just a thought to cause him to disintegrate. Even though he was a Nirvana Void third-step cultivator, he was but an ant before this pressure. Not even the 5 masters of the ancient star system could make Zhu Jin feel like this. It was as if every living thing in this world had to feel terror and kneel before someone with this tyrannical aura. If you didn't kneel, you would die. The aura continued to accumulate inside Wang Lin's body, but it hadn't erupted it. Though the accumulation had already reached an unimaginable degree. It was extremely domineering. He was like the emperor of the world. Even the heavens would have to lower its head before him. Even the earth would have to worship him. Zhu Jin's body trembled and blood came out from the corner of his mouth before he retreated a few steps. As the pressure decreased, popping sounds came from his legs. It was as if a force was pressuring down on his shoulders, forcing him to yield. However, he wasn't Ling Dong and hadn't been refined. As a powerful third-step cultivator and the ancestor of the Heavenly Wolf clan, he didn't kneel to the heavens or worship any god. The greater the pressure, the more he struggled. He let out a roar, and he unexpectedly didn't kneel. He clearly knew that Wang Lin couldn't have obtained such a powerful aura in a short period of time. He also knew that this aura didn't belong to Wang Lin was just borrowing it. The power was borrowed from this strange chair. This momentum, this pressure could dissipate at any time. However, if he succumbed to it before it dissipated, it would leave a flaw on his Dao heart and he would never walk out of the shadow of kneeling to someone as a third-step cultivator. Not only would his cultivation stop, but he would very likely become a slave like Ling Dong. While struggling, Zhu Jin's roar echoed inside this quiet palace. His forehead was covered in sweat and popping sounds were coming from his body. His legs were trembling, but he clenched his teeth. Blood flew out from the corner of his mouth and dripped onto his clothes, dyeing them red. However, just as he was using his all to resist the pressure, the aura inside Wang Lin seemed to have finished accumulating. The 18 stars that were rapidly rotating suddenly stopped. The moment they stopped rotating, the pressure and aura that had gathered inside Wang Lin erupted. It was 10 times, 100 times stronger than before as it swept across the palace. Zhu Jin coughed out blood and his mind seemed to get torn apart. His Dao heart shattered and all his resistance collapsed. At this moment, Wang Lin was like an invincible emperor that possessed an aura that could make the world tremble. The burly man from the Heavenly Wolf clan knelt down on the ground. His body trembled and, like Ling Dong, he didn't dare to raise his head. He yielded. Wang Lin seemed to not have noticed any of this. His gaze seemed to have penetrated Ling Dong and Zhu Jin, and he was looking ahead. In his eyes, the cultivators around the stone platform seemed to have gone back in time to countless years ago. Slaughter the world. What moved wasn't the long-dead cultivators around the platform, but Wang Lin's mind. Scenes buried in time appeared in his eyes. An umbrella was propped up in the scene. There was a middle-aged scribe under the umbrella. He was silently looking at the countless cultivators rushing forward. He was also looking at the existence on the throne and pointing with his left hand. This finger caused the world to tremble. In Wang Lin's eyes, the world around the platform trembled. The tens of thousands of cultivators all rushed forward like crazy toward the stone platform. There were more than 10 times more cultivators behind these tens of thousands of cultivators. They all roared as they charged forward as if they weren't afraid of death. Even further away, the large war chariots rumbled loudly and slowly approached. They began to shine, and rays of destructive light were shot out. Just at this moment, a giant rift seemed to be ripped open above the palace. Nearly 100 members of the 3 ancient order clans that were all tens of thousands of feet tall walked out. It was as if the world was about to collapse, and their roars overshadowed the roars of the cultivators. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, nearly 100 members of the 3 ancient order clans appeared. Spells, the power of the bodies, treasures, and various attacks immediately began wreaking havoc. They began fighting hundreds of thousands of cultivators with just 100 members. All of this looked extremely real, as if Wang Lin had walked through time and appeared in the battlefield. He calmly sat there and watched everything with a cold gaze, just like the person that had sat here in the past. A sense of confidence and a domineering aura continued to gather and erupt from his body. At this moment, Wang Lin seemed to have turned into another person. The world rumbled and 8 giants that pierced the heavens came out of the rift. Their appearance caused the situation to turn chaotic. These 8 giants had powerful physical bodies. Often, a wave of their arms would release a powerful force that caused cultivators to retreat while coughing up blood, and some simply died. However, just as the 8 giants appeared, the cultivator holding the umbrella muttered something. The world began to distort and turned into the surface of a mirror. Roars came from the mirror and then 8 dragons tens of thousands of feet long rushed out. They all faced the platform with ferocious expressions and let out shocking roars. It looked like they were going to break open all obstacles and devour the stone platform. An inexplicable feeling appeared. It might have been that the scene before Wang Lin looked too real, or the power he had borrowed was fusing into his body. Wang Lin seemed to have turned into the man who was sitting here during that battle. He slowly raised his arm and clenched his fist. Then he threw a punch at the void ahead. God tremble, army formation. When the punch flew out, the illusory picture inside the world trembled. Inside the scene, the thousands of cultivators before the throne all trembled. Popping sounds echoed and these thousands of cultivators all coughed out blood. A strange distortion formed around them, and their bodies were being pulled by the distortion. They unexpectedly all lined up neatly in 4 columns. This wasn't the only location like this. In the 8 directions around the platform, the 10,000 cultivators in front all coughed out blood and lined up in this strange formation. Death aura filled the area. All the cultivators that had lined up had their cultivation, origin souls, and all traces of life shattered. Wang Lin's fist stopped in the air and slowly loosened to a palm as he withdrew his arm. Then he casually waved his hand. Demon spell, wind and fire mountain. As he waved his hand, a powerful fire began to burn above the heads of the cultivators that were lined up. This fire was green, and large amounts of smoke began to gather. With a wave of his hand, the smoke pierced through the hundreds of thousands of cultivators that had rushed forward. The smoke pierced through them and formed 8 mountains of smoke. The moment the smoke mountains appeared, a powerful suction force came from them. This suction force was irresistible, and it pulled in all the surrounding hundreds of thousands cultivators. No matter how much they resisted, they couldn't break free from the suction force. In a flash, mournful screams echoed and the hundreds of thousands cultivators were devoured by the 8 smoke mountains. After the smoke dissipated, the 8 smoke mountains became 8 corpse mountains. After a punch and a wave, Wang Lin's right hand stopped in the air. Then his index finger extended and pointed forward. Devil Dao, life and death reverse. Strange words came from Wang Lin's mouth. After he pointed, the giant chariots behind the hundreds of thousands of cultivators trembled and a ripple began to spread across chariots. As the ripples spread, all the life force inside the chariots began to turn into death. Soon, they all stopped moving and just stood there. As the ripples spread, the 8 giant dragons that were charging at the platform trembled. They couldn't resist this devil Tao at all, and all the life force in their bodies turned into death aura. The reversal of life and death, the transformation from the living to the dead, was completed in an instant. The 8 giant dragons maintained the posture of when they were alive. They floated motionlessly in the air. Not only them, but all the cultivators who had been touched by the ripple suffered the same fate. Their life force had turned into death aura and then they immediately died. God, demon, devil, ancient Tao, no celestials. Wang Lin muttered as his hand turned into a palm and gently pushed forward. The ancient stars between his eyebrows started rotating rapidly and then suddenly turned to 9 stars from 6 stars. The 12 stars inside his eyes also suddenly increased to 18 stars. 9-star ancient god. 9-star ancient demon. 9-star ancient devil. The power of the 3 clans seemed to fuse to form the power of the ancient order. This power flowed into Wang Lin's right hand as he pushed forward. A giant shadow suddenly appeared before Wang Lin. This shadow only had a head, but just the head was as large as the world. It gave off an ancient aura as old as the heavens itself. However, it was slightly blurry, making it impossible to see what it looked like. After the head appeared, it opened its mouth and blew out a gust of wind. This wind rushed ahead and swept past all the dead cultivators. They all stiffened and showed signs of turning to stone. Just at this moment, the middle-aged scribe holding the umbrella on the opposite side of the platform let out a sigh. His right hand opened the umbrella and 7 colored light came from inside it. At this moment, the umbrella was like a sun, with the 7 colored light shining brightly. The power of the ancient order and the 7 colored light collided, causing the world to tremble. Just at this moment, a monstrous roar echoed. Behind the person holding the umbrella, the cultivator with his eyes closed suddenly had a big bow with 9 seals in his hand. The bow was made of bone, with engravings of a moon and stars. The bowstring was made of an unknown material that gave off an ancient aura. At this moment, it was pulled by the cultivator in black, making it look like a full moon. A long, dark arrow with 9 feathers suddenly appeared in the bow. This arrow was covered in damage marks, as if it had experienced countless battles and killed countless cultivators. There was a shocking amount of killing intent gathered on the arrow. He drew the bow with his eyes closed and let go. In a flash, the arrow flew out with an indescribable momentum. The world trembled and a giant crack appeared on the ground following the arrow. The arrow broke through everything blocking its path. A thunderous rumble echoed as the arrow shot forward. This replaced all other sounds as the arrow pierced the void. It penetrated the umbrella, the destructive aura from the shadow, and penetrated everything in this world. It was as if not even the heavens, not even time, nothing in the world could stop it. Thunderous rumble caused a powerful shockwave. This arrow pierced through the ancient order aura and stabbed into the left eye of the huge head. It entered the head through the hole of the left eye and pierced through to the other side. One could clearly see a bloody left eye at the tip of the arrow as it pierced through the palace, the void, and disappeared without a trace. Intense pain appeared in Wang Lin's mind like a tide. This pain seemed to want to tear his memories from himself. Blood flowed down from his left eye and the 9 ancient demon stars he borrowed suddenly collapsed. Dao shot Li Guang shot my left eye. My left eye contained half my memories and my thoughts of my hometown. The voice that he had heard before appeared in Wang Lin's mind once more. At this moment, under this intense pain, he seemed to have forgotten himself and completely became ancient order Yi Mo. "Give me back my left eye," he roared. As his roar echoed, the aura from the head rushed forward. The umbrella collapsed and the aura smashed into the man holding the 7-colored umbrella. The man revealed a bitter smile as his body gradually lost all vitality and turned to stone. Even the umbrella was petrified. As the aura swept past the middle-aged man and landed on the archer behind him. The archer pondered silently and closed his eyes. His body instantly turned to stone, and he maintained his pose from when he was alive. I have finished our agreement. When he closed his eyes, he said this first sentence and also his last. While Wang Lin was sitting on the throne on the stone platform, Zhu Jin and Ling Dong were still kneeling before him. They were aware that the pressure inside Wang Lin had reached a terrifying degree. This pressure made them feel terror and shock, so they didn't dare to raise their heads. They also couldn't see the red blood flowing out from Wang Lin's left eye. The inheritance had begun the moment Wang Lin sat down on the chair. Time slowly passed as Wang Lin sat on the throne motionlessly. The images in his head continued playing and different scenes flashed by. After an unknown amount of time had passed, the surrounding cultivators had all become silent. Only the fire above their heads continued to burn, shrouding the area with a sense of illusion. On this day, a person wearing a 7-colored daoist robe appeared out of nowhere in this quiet palace. He stood before the middle-aged man who had opened the umbrella and silently pondered for a long time. I've taken in 3 children in my life. You're the one that was the most. The 7-colored cultivator let out a sigh and walked past the middle-aged man. He stood before Li Guang, who looked like he was still holding the bow. I'll keep my promise with you. After the heavenly Tao has grown, I'll send this bow back to your sect. The 7-colored cultivator took the shocking bow from Li Guang. However, just at this moment, his expression changed and he stepped forward without thinking. He was very fast and moved at this limit. Ancient Tao, no celestials. As Wang Lin watched this, these words suddenly echoed in his mind. At this moment, an indescribable change took place inside Wang Lin. Just this sentence, these 4 simple words caused the 7-colored cultivator's expression to change once more. You're not dead. 7-colored light surrounded him and he coughed out blood while retreating. With one step, he disappeared without a trace. The image inside Wang Lin's mind dissipated. His body trembled and the confusion inside his eyes disappeared as he gradually became sober. The moment he became sober, the borrowed power inside him surged and seemed to want to rush back into the throne. At this instant, a powerful rejection force came from the throne as if it wanted to kick Wang Lin off. It was as if the throne had its own will that made it so no one except the person from the past could sit on it. Wang Lin had sat down before the will had awakened. However, when the ancient demon and ancient devil auras entered Wang Lin's body to create those scenes, and then when the scenes collapsed, it was awakened. After this will awakened, this rejection force suddenly appeared. Not only was it going to kick Wang Lin off, it wanted to take back the aura Wang Lin had absorbed. This will wouldn't allow Wang Lin to possess this aura. Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. He didn't have time to think, but he subconsciously wanted to keep this aura inside his body. This created a fierce conflict between him and the throne. Wang Lin let out a roar and the veins on his face swelled while facing this rejection force. He could not allow himself be kicked off. He had a feeling that the moment he left the throne, the aura inside him would collapse. If he wanted to keep it, he would have to stay on the throne. Time slowly passed, 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. In just 3 breaths, Wang Lin felt his body reach its limit. His origin energy activated like crazy to dispel the rejection force while frantically absorbing that aura. Because he had awakened, the number of ancient god stars between his eyebrows became 6 again. However, as he absorbed the aura, the 7th star vaguely appeared. Ancient devil power gathered in his right eye and showed signs of devil stars forming. 4th breath. After Wang Lin resisted for 4 breaths, his mind rumbled and the 9 maps in his mind collapsed. Below the collapsed maps, he saw a boundless area that was formed by 6 sub-maps. There was another world under these 6 maps. This world was formed by 3 maps. This ancient tomb did not just contain 1 layer, but 3 floors. Everyone who had entered the tomb was merely on the 1st floor. The entrance to the 2nd floor was the oval-shaped light above the throne behind Wang Lin. If you considered the 1st layer of the ancient tomb as a formation, then the location of this throne was the heart and center of the formation. Also at this moment, Wang Lin saw that there were countless mournful souls in the 2nd layer. What terrified him was that he saw souls giving off powerful pressure that could match that of Tao Master Blue Dream. There was also a blurry place deep within the 2nd layer. An indescribable and shocking aura seemed to be sleeping deep in the second layer. Once you entered the second layer, that powerful existence would awaken. Even someone with Tao Master Blue Dream's power would find it difficult to survive. This was just the second layer, there was still the third layer. Wang Lin sat on the throne as if he was sitting at the center of the formation. His divine sense fused with the formation as he passed through the second layer and entered the third layer. However, at this moment, a roar that seemed to have been suppressed for countless years echoed. Wang Lin's divine sense immediately collapsed before this roar. Although his divine sense had collapsed, he still saw that at the center of the three maps, there was a giant heart in the third layer. That heart was beating and gave off the aura of inheritance. Wang Lin felt that as long as he could touch that heart, he could obtain the full Ancient Order inheritance. The aura that had rushed into his body came from the heart. Through some mysterious method, the aura from the heart had passed through the chair and entered his body. At this moment, this aura rapidly left his body. If it were taken, Wang Lin would have to break through the second and third layers to obtain the inheritance. Forget him, no one in the ancient tomb could do it. Various thoughts flashed through Wang Lin's mind. Madness appeared in his mind and he made up his mind. He could not let the aura dissipate. The fifth breath. Wang Lin's eyes became red and his expression became ferocious. The seventh star absorbed the borrowed aura like crazy. It has entered my body, so now it is mine. How can I let it come and go as it wishes? When Wang Lin awakened, the pressure on Zhu Jin and Ling Dong seemed to quickly dissipate, allowing them to have the courage to rise up. Zhu Jin was about to lift his head. Just at this moment, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to raise his right hand and borrow the aura that hadn't yet dissipated to form a bolt of thunder that landed between Zhu Jin's eyebrows. Zhu Jin coughed out blood and was thrown back. Then a rune appeared between his eyebrows. The rune of an ancient slave. The two of you, use all your Joss flames to seal this throne and help me complete the inheritance. Quickly. Wang Lin quickly said, then he sealed off his body to prevent the aura from escaping. He also fixed himself onto the chair. Sixth breath. Ling Dong didn't hesitate and arrived on the left side of Wang Lin. His hands formed a seal and his right hand pressed down on the throne. He began summoning the Joss flames inside his body, and his left hand raised up to press down on Wang Lin to help Wang Lin offset the rejection force. Esteemed Ling Dong's clothes started moving without any wind and a powerful force came from Wang Lin's body. His expression immediately changed and he clenched his teeth as he endured. The Heavenly Wolf clan's Zhu Ji had been knocked by Wang Lin's finger. His face was pale and his eyes revealed struggle. However, the more he struggled, the faster the ancient slave rune flickered between his eyebrows. Seventh breath. Zhu Jin's face was pale as he silently arrived on Wang Lin's right. He followed the order and summoned all the Joss flames he had into the seat. Like Ling Dong, his right hand pressed down on Wang Lin and to help him share the burden of this powerful rejection force. His mind and body trembled. He felt a powerful force hit him, then he let out a roar and his right foot took a step back. It was as if he had taken root and persisted against this force. Wang Lin closed his eyes and continued to seal his body to prevent the aura from leaving his body. However, his left eye felt pain. Since the 9 ancient demon stars had collapsed, there was no ancient demon aura left. He was currently trapping the ancient devil aura in his right eye and the ancient god aura between his eyebrows. Eighth breath. The rejection force from the throne had reached the level of shaking the heavens. Popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, but his expression was extremely ferocious. I don't believe it. Wang Lin roared as his ancient god power filled his body and collided with the rejection force from the throne. Blood came out of the corner of Ling Dong's mouth. His body trembled and his face was deathly pale. Zhu Jin also clenched his teeth as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, he remained still and helped Ling Dong share the powerful force coming from the throne. Ninth breath. Wang Lin's body continued to tremble and sweat filled his forehead. Although he had 2 third-step cultivators helping him, the rejection from the throne had become even more intense, as if it was going to tear him into pieces. The ancient demon and ancient god auras inside him raged like the waves, as if they wanted to rush out from his body and return to the throne. Once they returned, Wang Lin would have to obtain the inheritance through the normal method. He would need to go through the second and third layers to enter the heart of the tomb. He would have to experience countless dangers to obtain it. 10th breath. Wang Lin coughed out blood. The longer he persisted, the more he absorbed and the more it benefited him. The 7th star that had just appeared rotated rapidly. It became more and more clear and was about to take shape. However, just at this moment, a huge change occurred. This god has finally found this place, thought my intuition. This is the place. That damn Sai dreamed of coming here. A laugh echoed inside the empty palace. A distortion appeared in the void and Tu Sen's body was about to rush in from the distortion. As he charged in, the distortion was pulled into an convex shape, and a thunderous rumble echoed as he punched the distortion. This video will end here.